Why don't billionaires get arrested immediately when caught stealing, defrauding millions of people? Harder to build evidence when everything is data that needs warrants to go after. Financial crimes are not as easy to prove as someone standing over a corpse holding a bloody weapon. Because white-collar crime takes longer to prove, and these people tend to have very good lawyers. The answer to "why hasn't X been charged with this crime yet?" is almost always the prosecutor doesn't have enough evidence to ensure a conviction. And of course, the richer someone is, the more attorneys they can hire, the higher that bar is. Because it never is simple as Mr. Billionaire was found physically inside of Fort Knox stealing the gold and hiding it in his butt. It's always a really complicated scene that's hard to prove. The U.S. Constitution gives you the right to a speedy trial, which usually means it has to start within 30 days of when they indict you. So they can't indict you until they are ready with all the evidence they need to convict you. Even just talking to all the whistleblowers and figuring out who is telling the truth can take longer than that. It's usually pretty easy to collect evidence if someone walked into a store and took stuff on video. And harder if it was a complicated financial thing that takes time to investigate. To oversimplify a bit, many extremely wealthy individuals get away with unethical behaviors for two main reasons. First, as is the case with people like Bankman-Fried and Duquan, what they're doing technically isn't illegal. They find gaps in laws and regulations that can be exploited for profit, and milk those vulnerabilities until legislators catch on. This is certainly the case with a lot of the recently crashed crypto exchanges, which were certainly engaging in unethical behavior, but were based on a business model that was technically legal due to under-regulation. Secondly, many wealthy folks are able to use their corporations as a shield for illegal actions. You'll often hear about companies being fined for illegal behavior, but far more rarely hear about executives going to jail for their role in these actions. This is because the diffuse decision-making processes within a company make it very easy for high-level members to hide their knowledge of illegal actions. So long as they don't leave a paper trail, it can be extremely hard to prove they definitely had knowledge that their company was acting criminally, even though logically we can be fairly certain that they were knowledgeable of and probably involved in the criminal act. This is also why you often see lower-level managers, who are the ones directly implementing illegal actions, end up being criminally prosecuted, while the bosses who they say pushed them to take these steps avoid responsibility. How much money did he steal? If you can't even answer this question, how do you expect to arrest him? It takes a long time to make sure someone is convicted of the right crime so that they don't weasel their way out of it. There are a number of reasons why billionaires may not get arrested immediately when caught stealing or defrauding millions of people. First, it can take time for law enforcement to gather enough evidence to charge someone with a crime. Second, prosecutors may be reluctant to bring charges against someone who is so wealthy and powerful. Finally, even if charges are brought, billionaires may be able to use their resources to delay or avoid trial, because they have money to pay for good lawyers. It depends on the case. Often billionaires do these things through companies, which means there is less blame to trace to them specifically. Also, there is the difference between civil and criminal suits. Criminal suits have a stricter standard. And lastly, billionaires have a lot of power and resources, so you have to really have a strong case to arrest one. It's a lot easier to write articles about white-collar crime than it is to prove them in a court of law. It takes years just to collect evidence and secure witnesses. It takes hours to half collect some evidence and get someone to give you a quote off the record. Speaking from experience as a criminal investigator, knowing what someone did and having enough evidence to convict them in court are two entirely different things. The kind of cases you are talking about take very specialized investigations, and they take a long time to build up. A case taking years is not out of the question. White-collar criminals are usually pretty smart about how they do things. A lot of clever tricks with the books and accounting. There is an entire field called forensic accounting that looks into this stuff using math magic that I can't begin to understand. A whistleblower isn't enough. It's just an accusation, and that is where the investigation starts. 'Cause they rich bitch. Laws are written to protect the rich and bind the poor. Because when rich people steal, they call the crime stuff like embezzling or fraud rather than theft. And those crimes are punished differently, usually with fines. That said, that is not a good system. You are correct. It's basically classism.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.